Hey everybody, this is Doug Kenny, and I welcome Rene Villeneuve to Stories from Motorsports International. How you doing, Rene?
I'm doing well.
Good to hear. Where are you at the moment?
Southern California, at my home. Been here for many years, but sort of bounce back and forth to other locations. Obviously, I don't spend a lot of time at home, so this is a nice welcome break here.
That's great to hear. What are you doing these days involved in racing and all that?
So my involvement in racing is mostly as a coach and co-driver to clients that I have. I have clients that range in the spectrum of all the way from spec Boxster to cup cars and some single seat and sports cars, like a couple guys that drive radicals. So I stay pretty busy with the coaching. Obviously, I do a lot of driving from a perspective of setting goals and lap times and data traces for my clients. And I do some racing with some of the clients and some of the club races. I've got a client who's currently sort of working his way up through the GT3 Cup car ranks, and so he's just starting at that platform. He's actually a very exciting story. Some good things came out of the pandemic when it comes to that. I think we were all sitting around scratching our heads trying to figure out what to do, whether it was just to keep ourselves busy or to make money or both. And out of the blue, I got a phone call from somebody that found me on the internet, and he said that he wanted to go to the racetrack, learn to drive. He wanted to bring his street car out. And I said, I'm happy to come on out and help you out, but I'm not a very big proponent of street cars on racetracks. I think race cars belong on racetracks from a safety perspective. So he rented a friend of mine, Spec Boxster, for the first weekend there, and we wound up sort of starting from scratch. I mean, I had to sit in the car in the paddock at Auto Club Speedway and try and teach him how to heel toe downshift. And he set off with that first weekend and stuck with it. And he progressed at first pretty slowly. But then I think we started to click, a little bit of chemistry started to click between us. And he's progressed very, very nicely. 1 year after taking his Porsche Owners Club, I guess, licensing class, he won his first race. So he went from the back of the grid to the middle of the grid to the bottom half of the top half of the grid to the front 3 or 4, and now he's fighting for wins, which is really exciting for him. So he's my main client because it just really works out that way. I mean, I think there's no contract, there's no handshake. It's just we work so well together that he really enjoys it. But I do a lot of coaching for other people, and I do other coaching for other entities as well. So I also work with the AMG Driving Academy, which is a touring proper racing school. It is a marketing program, but we bring about 100 AMG cars to 5 different racetracks across the country, and all good racetracks. And I've been with that program for about 12 years, just because it's a solid program. It really does teach people how to drive. It's not just a fluff piece.
That's great to hear. So you're related to Jacques Villeneuve and Gilles Villeneuve, right?
Yeah, indirectly, or I should say distantly. It's my grandfather. Of course, I'm the youngest of 4 children. So most of the relatives that I had from Canada were very old or had passed when I was fairly young. But my grandfather actually grew up in the same town, Berthierville, as Seville, Gilles' father, and there was a relation there. So it goes back to my grandfather and ultimately little Jacques' grandfather as well. So it's pretty distant.
Okay. Did that help you with your name and racing at all, having the Villeneuve name, or did it not have much of an impact?
You know, it's a double-edged sword. It definitely opened a lot of doors. I think the downside of it was there was an assumption that behind the name there was money. And I started in the late 80s, where you could actually solicit sponsorship, but you needed a place to go in order to sell that sponsorship deal. And so it did allow me to get some deals together. In the mid 90s, in 95, I went to Japan to race. And that was through an acquaintance of mine, a Japanese guy that's living here in the US. And of course, that association came about from the name. They were obviously, the Japanese were infatuated with Gilles and Senna and a lot of other people, but the name definitely opened that door, and that allowed me to go do some really fun racing in Japan. It was really a great experience.
Great to hear. What was your reaction when Jacques Villeneuve Jr. won the Indy 500, if you had one?
I thought it was really exciting, obviously. For those who were there and watched it, he was squarely second place in that race, which would have been a great result anyways. But a mental mistake from the leader allowed him up front, and he deserved that win. He absolutely deserved that win. Despite, look, things happen, whether it's a mechanical issue or driver error or mental error, and you've got to be in the right place when that happens. And he was, and that's a big difference. And that's why he deserved that win.
Definitely. And it was the same with his F1 championship, but just different circumstances, wasn't it, when he got into it with Schumacher?
Yeah, I mean, that was another one that I obviously was following very closely. I think he had a lot going for him in the transition. Winning the Indy 500 allowed him to have the clout to be able to try and move to F1. And he was there at a time where he had unlimited testing ability the year before he started, or leading up to the year he started. And that helped him get comfortable in the car, and then ultimately is in 97 be able to be in the hunt again for that championship. Again, that was a fair and square fight, so to speak, between him and Schumacher at the end, and he came out on top, and kudos to him. It was a fantastic season.
Yeah, it definitely was. So what experience do you have in racing the best, between sports cars or open wheel or stock cars?